Welcome to the first video of an 11-part series to walk you through the voice of the heart. My goal for these videos is that you will walk away with a deeper understanding of why I wrote this book years ago and how to use the 8 core feelings and the spiritual root system so that you can tap into the most important part of you, your heart. I want you to see who you're made to be so you can do what you're made to do. Let's go ahead and dive into chapter 1. Before I came to the full recognition of the spiritual root system, I honestly didn't know the difference between a feeling and asphalt. I didn't know their value or their life-giving importance. I thought that strength meant to be strong in mind, body, and spirit. I didn't get heart, and I didn't know that I had lost heart either. I came from a family that was driven by addiction until recovery came to our family after I was grown. We did everything to avoid any display of emotions and anything to avoid just real overt vulnerability. I was a sensitive child, as all children are. I had feelings, but at the same time I began to give them up so I could matter. I became tough so I wouldn't be hurt again or feel lonely again. I became removed from my tears, not knowing that my tears were a way to show that something mattered. I became numb to letting myself care. And because I was numb to feeling, I was incapable of attachment because I wasn't willing to hurt. I was incapable of letting myself care about really anything. So I hid my anger and I never released myself to full celebration because I was always waiting for the other shoe to drop. What someone else thought mattered a lot more than what I thought. I believed that if you knew me, the inside me, the no longer pretending me, that you would find me unacceptable and rejectable and ultimately unlovable. I became a performer and a people pleaser. Or I would say, it doesn't matter if you care because somewhere inside I don't care. All along I was running from how I was made and running from the love I actually needed. I became a pretender and I didn't even know it. So when I was living in Texas years later, I was introduced to someone who saw me. They saw in me a worth I didn't know I had, the worth that I had buried. This person who was in recovery became a mentor and introduced me to feelings in 1988. Well, the rest is history. I'm thankful that I got my feelings back because when my son was 2 years old, he was playing in the glove box while I was sitting in the car before we went in the house. And I can remember watching him, and I remember I reached out and just kind of rubbed the back of his head, and I began to just sort of slowly begin to cry. And I thought about how much I delighted in him. And I wondered if anyone had delighted in me like that because it was so easy to reach my hand out and touch the back of his head. It was just easy to extend myself and to care about him. And how easy it is to care, to reach out even though miles of years may separate us from our hearts. It's what we're made to do. And guys, love, it's worth the pain. I also saw the limits of what love can do too. While I easily could reach out to him, I also realized that love requires that we accept limits. I remember we had a big rain one time, and my son and I were out in the driveway. He had on a Santa Claus hat. It was June, and he was wearing diapers. And I pointed out a rainbow, and I said, "There's a pot of gold in the rainbow." He began to walk to the end of the driveway, and he said, "Take me there, Daddy." And I remember telling him that I can't take you there. I'm limited. I can't take you as far as I would wish to. So I had to have feelings about that too. So I have regrets from before I discovered what I was created to be. But I tell you this, I wouldn't trade what I went through. I wouldn't trade what it took. I wouldn't trade the embarrassment or even the shame. Because I've gotten to spend my whole career helping people see who they're made to be so they can do what they're made to do. Being able to give to others what was given to me. Before we talk about feelings, I want to touch base about the spiritual root system. So what is the spiritual root system? Simply put, it's a two-dimensional picture of a three-dimensional life. We human beings are created, literally we're created as emotional and spiritual creatures. There's a lot of data that goes into that. But we are connection-seeking creatures who are looking for one thing in life, and it's the life fully lived, to be fully alive. We are created as feeling, needing, desiring, longing, and hoping creatures. Because we are created in a certain way, We really are made to experience fulfillment in a certain way. Though there are millions of unique experiences along that path, it's still the same path. We can only find fulfillment through relationship with ourselves, heads and heart connected, with others, and with God. We find connection by using those truths of the heart in relationship, by becoming able again to speak them, to relate to them, to listen to them from others and trust that God wants to hear them and cares about them. That's how we go about it. We're made to feed each other. We are each other's nutritional sustenance. We grow each other. We need each other. We find fulfillment in relationship with others and especially God. I use the example of a tree because it's so clear. You feed the roots, you produce the fruits. You feed the heart, you produce a well-rounded person. So if the tree is fed what it needs and plenty, the fruit will be produced. If we are well watered, we will grow well. Two primary needs of the human being are the need to belong and the need to matter. We reach out with them and we need to receive affirmation and confirmation from caregivers to experience the fullness of connection. This matters so much because we live in a world that sets us up to try to turn off our hearts. The voice of the heart is all about keeping your heart turned on. If we don't keep our hearts turned on, our needs can't be met, but we will still have the needs. If the heart turns off, you will still have the feelings and the needs, but you'll try to get them attended to in false ways, with a false self. Like you'll end up becoming a caretaker or a people pleaser, or you'll become achievement oriented, and you'll climb the ladder of success to become significant. Or you'll try not to care about anything by becoming apathetic and removed from caring at all. You'll try to belong and matter in ways that are impaired instead of the way you're created. Instead of being yourself and living who you're made to be, you'll distrust that you can be loved without having to earn every drop of care or attention you get. We all want to create and do, and of course we all want to perform, but not in order to be cared about. See, to become fully present while you do what really matters to you, that's the true meaning of performance. And we all want to perform, but out of our true selves, out of the true expression of how God made us, instead of what others turn us into. But if we have to watch to see what people are looking for, our worth is based upon our last performance. And we're only loved or we're only as valuable as our last performance. So the spiritual root system is about returning to how you were made. Ultimately, to be able to live fully as you were made, by being able to feel your feelings, to be able to tell the truth about your feelings, and turn all of that over to the thing called the process, which is really ultimately the process of living in relationship.